Hello and welcome to Net That Haul. I'm of course FPL Nemo and I'm joined by my co-host at FPL Mariner. We're here to do a condensed episode today, looking at Game Week 33 and Double Gameweek 34 for the matchup show. On the thumbnail this week, I've put Norwegian superstars Martin Ødegaard and Erling Haaland. So this should be nice. They're going to be on rival lines this week on Wednesday night. Crunch tie of the game week, I think, and also one that will have a lot of FPL opinions associated with it because there's a lot of benching dilemmas, aren't there? So how are you getting on, Chris? Any early moves or hits yet?
I've took Kane out already.
I
was worried that he was going to drop in price and I was going to get priced out for Salah. So I took him out. I went for Greenwood, so I've just skipped that third forward slot now for the rest of the season, piling the money into everywhere else. And yeah, I'm quite happy with a 3-5-2 sort of formation for the running. I think there's so many midfielders there. In fact, we would like six slots ideally, I think. So yeah, early move. Then I've now found out that there's a picture of Bruno by his wife on his sofa with his foot up. So that's handy. So that might bring forward my Salah move, possibly. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to see what happens. But we're only about, is it less than 24 hours from the first deadline? We say the first deadline because we're doing two deadlines in one show, right?
I guess it's worth clarifying for everyone. So we're not going to spend too long on Game Week 33 with the deadline just 24 hours away, and lots of other great content's come out already looking into it in more detail. Because we're not going to get a chance to do a separate standalone Game Week 34 show, we're going to pull in all the data from the double. You can use that from a free hit perspective, a bench boot perspective, top transfer target perspective for your 11, and any of that. So this will be the only show even before the next deadline, unfortunately. And then we'll be back next Wednesday with Gabriel when he's back from his holiday. But this time, Chris will be away. So this is going to be the last one with Chris till Game Week 36, I guess.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm popping across to Dubai. So starting to get stuff in place for my relocation, which happens in a few weeks. So yeah.
That's exciting.
I'm just whizzing across, and I'm going to Thailand for a little holiday as well. So,
Gabe is, speaking of holidays, on a flight right now to South America to go enjoy the beaches. So he's on the FPL beach, well and truly.
As I said last week, we hate him, but no, we don't really. But yeah, shall we get going, mate?
Sounds good. Let's go to the philosophy first, before Game Week 33, and then
I think so. Do you want to?
Let's go ahead. So.
It's not really philosophy this week. It's more of just a general sort of message regarding FPL. Gabe did say there's a philosophy. I took one look at it. I didn't have a clue what it was on about, so I just ignored it. So
maybe we'll have to use it next week when he's on with me.
Yeah, maybe, if it's still applicable. But look, I want to bring two messages to the table today. First things first, and I think this is very important, and I'm going to give you an example of how the free hit fucked with my mind last week. Before that Isak haul, I was absolutely livid with the way it was going. Absolutely livid. Apart from one thing, the only thing I got right up to the point of Isak was the Crystal Palace double defense. That was the only thing I got right. Everything else, all the other 50-50s, all went against me. And I was getting myself really worked up about it. Isak then, obviously, we'll come on to Spurs in a bit, but Spurs were 3-0 down in no time. Isak didn't have a single return and I lost my shit.
I can imagine.
Absolutely. I was... honestly, man, I was losing it. I absolutely lost my mind. And then, obviously, a few minutes later, and everything's happy. Isak's got his 2 returns. I've got a green arrow. Focus on what you can control and don't waste energy on things that you cannot. If there is one truer lesson with FPL, just put yourself in the position to be lucky. And if you're lucky, happy days. I can't stress it enough. But I'm the same, we all get it from time to time. This week was one of those meltdown weeks for me halfway through, watching games. I could have just smashed the telly and thrown it out the window and just not bothered, honestly.
Yeah, no, it didn't start great for me. I was waiting for any excuse on Friday night to hear that Jesus wasn't playing, and I had this plan ready where I would get Jota and then I would turn Gakpo into Odegaard and go triple Arsenal mid. And I
Yeah.
went to the Emirates that night. I was near the stadium. I was worried my signal wasn't going to hold out for like changing my team, and it was pretty accurate. It was going badly right up until deadline. And in hindsight, also having to go to the match and see how that went and being like a goal down in 30 seconds or whatever. Oh God, 1 minute maybe. It was just chaos for me. So just to get out that stadium at 3-3, and then especially when Trossard hit the crossbar in the 92nd minute, I really thought that was going to be 4-3. So the amount of chances, just watching Jesus miss those chances while I was there. And he was on my team. So my FPL game week started like I was, wow, it was tearing me up.
I'm exactly the same. I mean, Jesus, what a great free pick he should have been. What a great free pick
and
he
it's
should have
these
been.
margins, right? So on another day with his like 1.4 XG or whatever it was, more than entire teams of the game week had as a team, he still didn't convert. And then Gakpo had a goal cleared off the line and then got sub 60 minutes.
You know me, I like my statistics, but do you know what? Fuck XG. Really, fuck it. You don't need XG. Grimsby beat Southampton 2-1 with 0.03 non-penalty XG. I mean, it's just a nightmare. But look, there you go. Jesus, Jota. We spoke about Newcastle. I collapsed my chair twice talking about Joe Linton. There was a lovely return.
Joe
right?
Linton was epic.
What a lovely return. What a game. Anyway, that's the first part of this. The second bit is now, and I think this is really important. What's your definition of success? Right. Okay. I'm at 50K now, just out about 54K. What is my definition of success? Do you know what? With all the trials and tribulations I've had this season, 54K is a definition of success to me. I'm not setting my targets too high here. I just think if I can keep around 50K, under 50K, then I'll be very, very happy this year. But set your own targets. Don't get bought into other people's targets and this, that, and the other. I reckon now, where are we? 5-6 weeks to go? Is it 6 weeks to go? Six game weeks,
yeah.
Right.
With
6 game weeks to go. If you're lucky, you'll gain 8 points a week, unless you are really taking some serious gambles. 48 points, I think, is the maximum. Something like that. I've got someone who's 50 points ahead of me in a mini league. I'm not going to catch them.
They got to really capitulate. Yeah, they've got to really capitulate.
And they're a move ahead of me every time.
They can just keep buying the same players you're going to get for the double.
Yeah. Well, they're already on them. They're already on them.
They're on who you're going to buy.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go against them just for the sake of the mini league. You want to protect OR, I'm guessing, over mini league here. But okay, but so I guess where were you thinking you would finish? Because obviously we always talk about our preseason goals, and mine is always around top 100K before the season begins. But it's been my worst season in 6 years, and it's just been painful, is all I can say to you.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
I think you always start your first goal, sort of like your bronze medal is 100K for me now. That's really where I'm looking at minimum. I would probably say silver is 50 and gold is top 20, something like that. Top 20K. I think if you can get in that top 20K, it's.
I love how your numbers are so different to mine. So for me, like top 100K is like that is a bronze. I agree there. But it's like what I want. I want to get their minimum, but who knows if that will happen this year. But for me, 50K, like I view that as like how 10K used to be. So for me, 50K, that's like my silver. And then I would actually go really extreme now. There's a big jump. So instead of 20K, I would say 1. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at those double digit. Yeah. For those.
Why not? I mean, look, shoot for the stars. Harry, come on, Harry, win it.
Yeah, shout out to FPL Harry.
I was in a position last year where I had an outside chance of sneaking it with about 50 points behind with about 6 or 7 weeks to go from first place. And then I brought Mahrez in. But anyway, there's another story.
And he missed a penalty. Yeah.
And he missed that penalty. But no. With all honesty, Harry, FPL Harry, go and win it, mate. Please, all those content creators, go and win it. I think that's really where we are. One more thing. Don't have any regrets. If your gut is telling you something, I think if you're playing well right now, If you're making the right calls, keep going.
Yeah, if you're on the heater, keep going. Don't start to get conservative with the moves now. I think
don't listen to Nima. Sorry,
I
that
was
the
gonna
other
say,
rule.
take as many hits as you. That was the worst part is you said it just before I was about to advise taking hits. So it's like I'm trying to get everyone above me to take hits so that my rank ends up better at the end of the season. But you know me too well.
Anyway, we're 10 minutes in. Should we crack on with these matchups?
Why don't you say hi to us?
Should we say hello to people at in between the 2 game weeks?
Yeah, let's do game week 33 first, just so that the podcast listeners don't lose their shit by the time they get here. Hopefully they've clicked fast forward 15 button a few times, but
so game week 33. This is the fastest ever Net That Haul game week review of literally or review preview, not even review preview. It's not going to take as long, I don't think, is it?
No, definitely not. I think this is going to be they're going to be shocked when they see these matchups. It's a single slide and there's a single captaincy metric slide.
There is. That's it. Right. Okay. Who's good? Good matchups this week. So let's start with the attack on the left-hand side. Fixture difficulty head-to-head. As you said, green's good, red's bad. All right. Nice and straightforward. Who's got the best matchup? Actually, Brighton away at Notts Forest. Both attack and defence. There we go. Treble Brighton coming screaming back over the horizon at us. Not quite sure whether treble Brighton 2 attack 1 defence is the right way anymore, though. The only problem is that I don't know who my third attacker would be. Brighton, though, attack 3.2, defence 3.1. Forster, absolute crap. Although they did show a little bit against Liverpool, but everybody does. Everybody shows something against Liverpool. Liverpool's defence is shite.
I know.
Thank goodness for attacking returns.
Good thing Trent's got me assist the last 2 game weeks.
Thank goodness for that. That's all you're going to get from them. That's all you're going to get. Aston Villa home against Fulham. The last hurrah for Ollie Watkins, perhaps. I think.
I wonder where he is in the captaincy metric for this week.
We will see very, very shortly. 3 for that.
Mm-hmm.
Positive 3. Very, very good as well. NetxG is not quite following it though, and the same with the Brighton game. It doesn't quite follow it. But the thing about both these Aston Villa and Brighton games, look how the big chances and shots on target and shots in the box light up on the right hand side. That's always a very, very good sign for me. If these things light up and sort of like match and tie in, I think we're looking very, very positive here. Unfortunately, Nima, Manchester City against Arsenal is a very positive matchup for Manchester City attack. You guys, the defence has come off the boil. And I think now, and particularly, hold my beer, Aaron Ramsdale, for all those poor devils who had a Arsenal defender on their free hit.
Took him about 1 minute to pass it to the opponent. Yeah,
I have, and I think we've got Haaland up against Holding, by the looks of things.
Yeah, there's people making assumptions that he won't start and some weird system will come into play where Partey is a right back and Ben White is a centre, all kinds of shit. But I'm pretty sure Holding will play centre back. I just find it wild to imagine that level of tinkering with a system. Like,
I think we're lagging, Nima. I think we're lagging for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, it's the audio. It might be my internet or your internet, but only one of us should be laggy rather than both. So that's odd.
Well, I'm just very quickly checking everything. Everything seems all right my way. I think we just have to try and carry on, and then we'll have to see. It's nothing going to be to do with any of the back end of the YouTube, right?
No, I think normally the previous buffering issue was the latency setting or something with.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, look, we'll try and carry on. We're sorry, guys, if we've got a problem. It could just be the fact that Singapore's finally found out.
They're going to ban you. They're going to lock you up at the airport before you leave for good.
Possibility. West Ham. So anyway, so we said Manchester City. I genuinely think probably we've got a very, very tough game for Arsenal, and but that's one of those things. NetxG follows that as well, and then we've got West Ham home against Liverpool. So there's another one. I'm not sure anybody's got West Ham assets, but do you know what? West Ham look like they've got quite a positive matchup against Liverpool, and they've all of a sudden started to get a bit of form. And even Spurs at home against Manchester United is slightly better than most. Although I don't understand how.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe the data hasn't quite caught up with the
It is
centre
up to
back
date.
injuries.
I did bring it up to date, but of course, bear
Okay.
in mind that they were away last week, so it won't show on a home fixture.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So because it's the last
Yeah.
6 home fixtures,
We'll see it in a couple of weeks. We'll see it when we get to game week 34.
who knows?
NetxG,
Lindelof might become like the next Maldini. Who knows?
yeah. NetxG wise, I mean, it likes Leicester away at Leeds.
Yeah,
It likes
Nacho.
Spurs. It likes Leeds against Leicester as well. That could be a good game because
That could be quite a fun game. I think like obviously Leicester will be looking for another a successive win, is it? And Leeds will be kind of desperate to not get relegated too. So it should be a pretty nice, fun fight.
Yeah. But I think the moral of the story here is that you've got 2 or 3 standout games and a lot of meh.
And I guess the next context around this is kind of my original plan was to roll a transfer this week and maybe do some moves in 34, get my Liverpool assets then rather than away from home against West Ham this week. But looking at kind of how things are, I've got a big benching dilemma. I'm currently going to be benching a Brighton player with that juicy looking fixture there. Part of me thinks to just kind of take this hit now that I was going to take next week anyway and kind of, do Kane to Greenwood like you, but
that's
bench
what I
Greenwood.
did. And that's the reason I've done it, is because Mark was sitting first on my bench. So I thought, well, what's the point? I may as well play him, get this move out the way, get my money saved in the bank just in case, for when I need it. But then bloody Bruno's gone and got his bloody leg up now. So, as it happened, it probably still pushes me down that same route. It's not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, I do think that, to be honest, as much as Harry Kane does Harry Kane things and will continue to do Harry Kane things, that team's just a disaster right now. So I think I'm quite happy to swerve them now till the end of the season. I've no problem swerving Spurs now.
I would have liked to wait an extra, I don't know, after the 120 minutes in the cup, and I would have liked to wait, but part of me kind of feels like I'm in two minds, Mariner, because I was going to wait regardless, because I was always going to turn one of my free strikers to a dead position. But I had a little look, and had I moved yesterday before the Kane price drop and the Isaac price rise, I could have afforded to have Isaac on my bench all the way till his double. So I could have got like Isaac in this week for Kane instead of Fodder, played him.
We're going to come on to Isaac. We'll come on to Isaac when we get to 34. Because I think he's an extremely good option, actually.
So I guess the FDR here, at least at the 0.9 attack for Newcastle this week, it's not really that good compared to Spurs' FDR, which is 1.6 for attack. So selling Kane for an Isaac this week isn't as good. But if I sell Kane for Fodder,
I don't think it is. I mean, I don't think it's desperate to sell him. Looking at this, I'm not even sure it's desperate to bring Salah in.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If I'm honest,
0.9,
Yeah, if I'm honest with you, I'm not sure it's the problem is if Bruno's crocked, then I'll definitely do it because I don't particularly want to fire Botman in as a second Newcastle defender against away at Everton because I think Everton will score. I've just got that feeling. So, so if worse comes to worse, I'll take that hit and just swallow it till the end of the season.
I guess my situation is easier because I've got Saka, who I would be getting rid of, and his attacking FDR here is minus 0.1. So I'd be more considerate to do that.
I mean, look again. I look at it, and I think you just have to look at it pure the number of games we've got remaining, and Brighton just light every metric up all the way till the end of the season now. So
there isn't really a week you want to be benching them apart from maybe you bench
I don't think
one.
So. I think you're going to play him all the way in now,
all the way through.
Yeah, all the way through. But yeah, so that's that. So I think there's not a great deal. I mean, Zonals, interestingly enough, Chelsea stand out on the Zonals. That must be. I mean, they have created a lot. I think they've been creating a lot of stuff at home. They just can't finish it, right?
That's central zonal as well, but all of the zonals really there, but all quite high.
But that's the central zone for Chelsea. Really jumps out. Again, I'm not sure. I don't think I'll be going anywhere near them. The only other players, so the Jared Bowen spot lights up for West Ham against Liverpool. I wouldn't be at all surprised about that. And Voldemort springs out for a header as well for West Ham.
3.5 header matchup, best matchup for headers of the week.
Yeah. Yeah. The only other good-headed matchup, unfortunately, is Manchester City against Arsenal. So you know who's going to get an header.
So it sounds like Holland is the guy, isn't it?
It does, yeah, it does. That in itself gives you a. If you just compared the Watkins, I mean, the only thing is, what's for Watkins and what's for Haaland before we jump to the captaincy metric, okay?
Yeah.
So you've got Manchester City, 2.4 big chances, only 2.4 expected big chances. Watkins and Villa, 3.4 big chances, 5.8 shots on target against Manchester City, expected 4.1. But then you've got your headed matchup for Manchester City of 3.2. This is almost too close to call, if you ask me. I think it's much closer between Haaland and Watkins. Much closer than people think.
Maybe it's the EOs making people panic.
I reckon that might be the thing which might force everybody down that normal route.
The narratives are coming out quite quickly, isn't it? Like, you know, he's playing against Holding. And yeah, like it's just he's playing against Holding. He's at home at the Etihad. God knows how many points he averages per home game. It must be 10 points or something.
Yeah. I mean, look, the point is that, you know, the certain players are stat breakers. Haaland is, Tony is. Watkins has just been absolutely on fire. Okay, he didn't this week, but the last few weeks he's been outstanding. So yeah, I think I think you're looking at a straightforward shootout, if you ask me, between Watkins and Haaland. But should we have a look at the metric and see what the captaincy metric actually says?
Yeah, and then let me just get the jingle in. This is the earliest in the show that there's ever been a captaincy metric, but here it is, first time for everything.
And there you go. And I have adjusted Haaland's minutes because I don't think he's got a minute risk against Arsenal. He's going to play. He's going to play as long as until they're about 4-0 up, Nima, I'm afraid.
Yeah, so there's no chance he's getting subbed early if the game's not won.
No, I don't think there is. So anyway, here we go. So here's the captaincy metric this week. So we've got Haaland and Watkins. Well, it's not tied because if you actually, Haaland does top it by a tiny touch. But the reason, let's quickly look through it. So Haaland, 98 haul, 98 return, 98 points, 99 NetxG, 90 fixture difficulty. So the fixture difficulty in the view of the of my fixture difficulty is slightly more difficult than the Fulham fixture than Watkins. Anytimes returns 86, expected points 90, and zonals 98. So as you see, actually, what you're seeing is you've almost got a slight swap. You've got Haaland, whose last data's slightly better, and then the predictions actually pushes Watkins back up to him almost very, very slightly. And it basically puts them as a straightforward shootout on 94 each.
So what would you say to people who don't have Watkins? They kind of, a lot of them feel quite confident that, you know, this is the last week they need to hide behind the sofa and that maybe he's not as much of an option going forwards. Has he fallen into the same trap as the Arsenal assets, that because they don't have doubles and the fixtures look kind of rough on paper, we're going to take these players out like Arsenal assets, like Martinelli, like Watkins from Villa, and they're just going to continue getting points?
Yeah.
Are we just going to chase the fixtures
now? If you're not on him now, how can you really justify buying him?
It's tough, isn't it?
So I think, look, if I had a slot in up front, I would be looking at. I'd probably be looking at Jota. If I could, I would get him. I think is the one that I would want, if I'm honest, or Isak.
So yeah,
so I think Isak is a good run. Isak's a good run all the way to the end of the season.
Exactly, he's a hold the whole way. You can bench him in some of the weeks, but
I think the simple move is Watkins to Isak going forwards. Is probably where I'm going. I may swerve Jota because I'm just wondering as to whether he's going to a slight minutes risk for the double.
Just a few questions, which we are going to do the hellos between this and Gameweek 34, but just a few questions on the captaincy metric itself, Mariner, and we'll do some hellos after as well. But
no, absolutely. I mean, just very quickly. So, I mean, Kane's third on 88 with Salah. Then you've got Grealish, Mitoma, and the rest. Kane's numbers are down, and the reason his numbers are down so far is that he hasn't had a haul recently, and his returns are low. So. If you think Kane's
so he could be quite high, actually.
He could be. He could be higher.
If you believe that his return for this fixture against that centre-back pairing or his haul rate
That's the
might
thing,
be a
isn't
bit higher.
it? It's Manchester United, and it's that centre-back pairing against Manchester United. So, yeah, I mean, you look at that, actually, his expected returns are very high this week. I mean, look, I sold him because I'm thinking about from the perspective of just looking forwards. That's nothing more. If I was looking at this metric, I would keep him.
I was going to say, part of me feels like I'm almost rushing into a -4 just because I want to just be done with it and just commit my plans and just stop making any more difficult decisions this season, get them all out of the way. So,
yeah, I mean, look, I think, look, sometimes you just make your bed and lay in it. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. I just need to look at it from a perspective. I need the cash now. I've got to bring in certain players for 34. I'm going to attack 34, and I'm going to attack every double game week all the way in, and that's the way I'm going to play it.
Sounds about right. So where would Rashford be on this captaincy metric? Is the first question from Nick Khan.
That's a very good question, actually. Where is Rashford? I'm wondering. Let me just double check that. I think he's down a bit, and the reason he's down is he's quite a way down. He's off the bottom.
Should I put it on the screen?
Yeah, hang on a second.
I can see you scrolling on it.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, let me.
I don't know if we should let them see behind the scenes.
No, it's all right. No, it's all right.
What algorithm doing all the hard work?
That's the idea, right? So there we go. So yeah, he's down here now. He's got minutes. His minutes have been an issue. Now, whether that's not going to be the case for this game remains to be seen. The fixture difficulty it doesn't like. So it's actually the fixture difficulty which pulls Rashford back
more than the minutes.
Really, yeah.
But if we were to keep the fixture difficulty as it is, and let's say we made the minutes match the average of Watkins and Haaland, how high up would you go?
Only up to 71. Doesn't make so much difference.
Oh, he barely moves up.
The thing is, the way these captaincy metrics work is they are so heavily weighted on the fixture. They're weighted probably about 40% of everything is fixture and NetxG now, 40 to 50%. And then the other bits is a bit from the past and a bit from the present. So that's how it balances itself out. So yeah, so the fixture, if they don't like the fixture, then it will. If it doesn't like the fixture, it'll find a reason to. It won't like the player unless it's Haaland. It's about the only player who's managed to break that this year.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right, let's do a couple of hellos and shout outs, and then we will go on to game week 34 as well. So no worries, Salah. Don't panic. He said, hold on, if you're already on the captaincy metric, are you finishing the stream early tonight? So no, we will just do a couple of shout outs before we go. So Akib was first in the live chat tonight. Good to see you, Top G's. Catherine A, good to see you, one of our haulers on YouTube. Big Mike, good evening. Thank you for tuning in live at this late hour for me and early hour for Mariner. Val, good to see you. Good evening, mate. Sebastian Koo, one of our new haulers on YouTube. He's in the same time zone as you. He's in Kuala Lumpur, so 5:30 a.m. in Malaysia.
Sebastian.
Welcome. Blue Danube Joe, good to see you, mate. William, good evening. Another one of our haulers. Just going William. Sorry, I'm saying you can see I'm tired here at 11. I'm like William. I've still got that assist in my head from last week and all the people who got him on free hit, mate. FPL Mike Halpin, another hauler. Good to see you, buddy. Salad Samurai, another one of our haulers. Thanks for tuning in. Got FPL Sparta, all right, buddy. This is just for you from Akib, by the way. So since your rant, Wrexham got promoted, in 4 years' time, they will be on your captaincy metric.
Do you know what? I really hope not. I still look. Congratulations to them. The fans. I know a number of fans very well. They've waited a long time to get back in the league, but don't give me this faux bullshit that they deserve it.
Oh, I was waiting to see that. It's almost like Akib knows how to press your buttons.
He does. He knows exactly how to press my buttons. Thank you, Akib. It's all right. Let's
get you going. Nick Khan, thanks for tuning in, buddy. So William went for Emi Martinez on free hit, and that was enough to send his head to Pluto. So he also feels for you. And when you were talking about how bad some of those calls went, all the 50-50s that went wrong, apart from Isaac. K7, good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. We have started your question about Salah. We will come back to these questions at the end of the show. We've got William saying that we were talking about our targets and kind of making your goals for the end of the season in the philosophy section. So it's only his second season. He's currently 70K. And
fabulous result. Well done, William. Pleased we could be of help, hopefully.
Rob Jones, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you, mate. Andy Martin, glad that the notifications caught you at this late night. It's been a disappointing few weeks for him. I know it's been tough going against the grain, but hopefully you can claw some of that back in these final 6 weeks. We've got FPL Matty Win a lot. Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Any other final takers? Cohnberger, good to see you. Thanks, buddy. Sorry if we've missed anyone. We will come back to all of your questions, as I say. Tom, we've started these for later. FPL Routine, good to see you. Any chat sport evening, buddy? We basically went half an hour into the show before we did the shout out, so we're like shouting out every single person.
It's all right. It's good that we do
FPL Trini, good to see you.
It just gives us a chance just to take a slight pause anyway between the two shows.
Nice. And Sehan, good to see you, buddy.
He's in class right now watching. Naughty boy. It's the sort of stuff I would. Well, if there'd have been a mobile phone in a classroom all those years ago, Nima, I think I'd have been doing the same.
I think I would too. So anyway. Cool. Okay, I think we go on to the next section. We go to the matchups for game week 34.
What's going on here? Right. So Palace against West Ham. We've got Voldemort on the screen and a very scared looking cat. What does that mean, everybody? I think you probably know. Anyone who watches Net That Haul probably knows what's coming here. Let's look at the matchups first. So what we're doing, just to let you know, is we're going to do any game with it which involves a team with a double game week. And we're going to do a couple of other fixtures. Okay. So let's start with the West Ham one. First West Ham fixture. So Crystal Palace against West Ham. Attacking fixture difficulty, doesn't like it either. Neither of them doesn't like them. Defense over attack. NetxG, Crystal Palace over West Ham. West Ham's NetxG, very, very poor. Right matchup for West Ham looks good. And the headed matchup is the reason why our mate Voldemort and the cat is looking so scared there, because Voldemort has a second option for a headed matchup this week. Because he's already had one, hasn't he, in the first one? We spotted it earlier as well. So, and as for the shot goal predictors, well, they're a sea of red.
They're bad.
They're bad. Probably last on match of the day, possibly. Although you never know, because Palace are just playing quite freely. Is that going to free up West Ham all of a sudden have got a bit of a bounce? Are these numbers not catching up? It's possible. The only thing I would say is, would I be falling over myself to get Jared Bowen? I'm not sure I would.
I think when you look at the shots on target goal predictor, it's 50% chance of a West Ham clean sheet and a 72% chance of a Crystal Palace clean sheet. These are some shocking numbers. We've got 92% chance of 1 or 0 goals for Palace.
There's nothing to go for it. The only feeling I've got in my waterworks is that headed matchup could be Antonio as well. And the reason is, you know what Antonio's like when he starts scoring? Once he starts, that's the only thing I've got. That's the only little feeling I've got in my waterworks. I actually think probably Palace defence is probably the best route here. And I think actually Palace defence is actually quite good till the end of the season as well. So you might, but saying that, we're not going to go on them. We know where we're going. So yes, I don't like it. Nothing for me there with respect to West Ham. And quite frankly, I don't think I'd be going for Palace on my free hit either.
Yeah, if you were free hit 34, then this wouldn't be a fixture that would appeal to you. You want to go for 10 or 11 doublers. For a bench boost, I guess you would argue that the Newcastle fixture that week is probably better.
Yes,
and
exactly.
We'll get to that matchup.
Yeah, your bench boost would be Newcastle players, almost definitely.
You probably have like a Botman and an Isaac on the bench boost. Keep them for the double in 36 as well. Yeah, okay. If you're wildcarding this week, I think your bench would be made up of Newcastle, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'll talk about the Newcastle when we get going in it and when we get next. So should we keep going? So
let's go to the next matchup. So this is
a
exciting one.
Brighton against Wolves, and now we're going to see some quite aggressive numbers. But we've pulled the network, we've pulled the date range in for fixture difficulties now. We're after the World Cup. So we've basically split it more or less 50-50 between up to game week 24 and after game week 24. And you're starting to see some quite aggressive numbers coming out on the fixture difficulty, which is normal when you're working on a smaller range. Brighton home to Wolves, very positive, 3.7 and 3.1. Very positive indeed. Again, that's possibly more down to the fact that Wolves have been awful away. Brighton are very good at home as well. NetxG follows me, 1.8 for Brighton, 0.8 for Wolves. Left and centre for Brighton, very, very strong, 4 and 4.3. Right, not so good. Big chances, 2.9. Shots on target, 7.9. Shots in box, 11.6, and some headers. Wolves, a sea of red. At the bottom, with regarding shot goal predictors for Brighton, again, you're talking, 39% chance of 3 or more.
Damn. Yeah. There's more chance of them scoring 3 or more. Sorry, 2 or more.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking at shots goal predictors.
Shot goal. I'm
looking at on-target goal predictor.
17, and shot on target is still 24, right? So
that's what I was going to say. It's like if you look at Brighton's numbers here, the kind of 2 goals, 31%, 3 goals, 17%, 4 goals, 7%.
Yeah.
What I was saying is they got more chance of scoring 2 or more goals than they do of scoring 1 or 0.
Yeah. Well, the moral of the story is play all 3.
Yeah.
The issue is which. The issue is which 3. I'm quite happy with my 3, which are actually I put on the screen. Estupinian, Mitoma, and March. I mean, I do think that we'll see. Obviously, Zonal doesn't quite follow. But no, I like the look of this one. I've got a feeling that Brighton have an awful lot to play for. And I would like to think they've got more than enough to see off Wolves in this one. So, yeah, I think that's probably... Should we keep going and then just cover the teams on that once we get...
We'll come back to Brighton again.
We'll come back to them again, yeah.
And any love for Wolves? Like Totti's really. 3.8 million...
I mean, look, he's a good. If you're free hitting, he's a great enabler to chuck in your team for sure. But
because then at least he might still get minutes.
I mean, I don't think I think they're just on single game weeks all the way till the end of the season. I don't think it's appealing.
They've had a better run of like form change of form recently, but probably not worth holding on to.
They're better for sure. Oh, looks like my formatting's gone to shit. But anyway, next one: Fulham against Manchester City. Manchester City. Even away, have a very positive matchup. 2.6 attack, 2.8 defense, but we all know they're going to concede. They always do. Zonals for Manchester City, the right-hand side. Are we getting into Mahrez territory again, Neema? I hate to say it. I say it every year at this time. It's crazy, almost like it's almost like if you get into the mid-30s in the game weeks, and then we all start buying Mahrez. I actually think I quite like KDB here. I think KDB. I think that for you,
wasn't it, about
that
whether it's time to dodge
to a certain extent.
Yeah, I was wondering whether it was time to dodge Salah. You could make an argument that you could go straight to De Bruyne from now and just hold him for the rest of the season. It's an interesting debate because I think he'd be the only one I'd want to go for as a third City player. I'm not interested in the defense. That's the thing. Like, I'm just not interested.
No, I'm the same. I can't work the defense out, so I'm prepared just to ignore them. I do like the look of KDB. I wouldn't be all surprised if I don't have KDB by 34. I've got Grealish as well, and the matchup doesn't really suit Grealish on the right, on that left-hand side, and unfortunately that follows the next
that's the one
well.
I've got.
Me too. The matchup doesn't really suit him, I don't think, but we'll have to see.
Imagine we don't, like, we're going into a double game week where City have one of the better doubles in it, and
we've got the wrong matchup.
But we probably won't even have 3 of them, right? And the second
actually,
one
that's entirely possible. I wouldn't be at all surprised if we don't have 3, and I'd also wouldn't be surprised if I don't have 3 Liverpool, because beyond that, I'm not quite sure I like the treble. I think I'll be shipping one out. I almost feel.
I would definitely be shipping one out.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 by the time 37 comes around. But so Andy says that on his free hit, he will go for De Bruyne, and I think you absolutely have to.
I really like it. Yeah.
Especially because others can't get there.
No,
it's an opportunity to go for it.
Definitely. And you're looking at the shot goal predictors. I mean, Manchester City again, as usual. 26% chance of 3 or more shot goal. Shot on target slightly lower, but that always tends to be. But yeah, I mean, looking at this, I mean, again, it looks like City are going to have too much for Fulham. I do think that Fulham can score, though, even though that matchup is so good, because City seem to contrive ways of conceding goals.
What about anyone who's bench boosting? Would you condone like a Andreas fifth mid or a Leno in goal?
No, I don't think so.
Those Fulham fixtures aren't great for the double, are they?
No.
You still want to stick to the Newcastle boys over these
No,
guys.
I don't want anything to do with Fulham this week.
No, nothing to do with them.
To be
Did you
fair,
see
we did
what their
call
manager
Andreas
came
last
out?
week.
I was going to say,
pissed off when he.
You must
I
have
was
been
pissed
annoyed.
off when he got that return last week because I called him and then again ignored him as well.
And went for Gakpo or something.
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah. Anyway. Okay.
What about Mahrez? We'll get this question over the line now instead of later in the Q&A. So Asad Ali asks, will Mahrez even start?
I don't know.
That's probably the only reason I won't be on Triple City is because, the guy just scored a hat-trick in the Cup and, none of us are even looking to buy him.
He's bound to get dropped.
Oh, man. I would love to get Mahrez. Honestly, I would love to get Mahrez, but I think it's KDB or bust as the third for me.
I think so.
And the thing is, I'm happy to
KDB,
go with 10 double
Grealish.
game weekers. I'm happy to go with 10
KDB,
double game weekers and
Grealish.
Trippier. I'm happy to go with 10 double game weekers and Trippier in 34. So I don't think I'll be getting my Trippier to be benched and then take a hit to get Diaz or Stones. I just don't see it.
No, I think it's okay. But yeah, no, I ain't playing bloody Fulham. No chance. I wouldn't have any Fulham players.
You've upset Combe. No Fulham on a bench boost. Hold my beer.
Well, I mean, Andreas is all right, I suppose. I mean, look, at the end of the day, at least he's on penalties. I mean, and that might be the way that they get something. I don't know. I mean, he's a fine asset, isn't he, for the price? And you can leave him rotting afterwards as well.
That's the thing, is the idea of not having to free up the money later because he's only.
The only thing I would say is, are you not setting yourself up with those 5 strong midfielders? And, he's almost, I'm going to think is perhaps Solanke a better.
But that's the thing. If you're going to bench boost, are you going to bench boost, I guess, maybe Tony at home to Forest or Isaac, as we said, to Southampton, is it? So there's a few options.
Yeah,
there's a few options. Let's go to the next
one.
But
yeah, Manchester City, very, very strong. And this is another one which is strong. And Manchester United at home are looking extremely strong against Villa, which probably plays straight down the back for players like Rashford, and would have bled down the back for Bruno Fernandes, but that's not the case. Look at the shot goal predictors. It absolutely jumps off the page for Manchester United. And it just seems that they are looking extremely strong at home. But that said, Aston Villa have improved an awful lot. But this data's starting to get a lot more recent, Nima, which makes me think that this is onto something. At the end of the day, I think we're talking about attacking assets, though. I don't think we're talking about any defensive assets here. Luke Shaw might get something, of course, but I mean, it's only because I own him is the reason I mentioned him. So I'll play him for sure.
Yeah. Well, I have him. I'm just having a look here. So
I'm not so sure. I mean, we could have probably done with Gabe here for this, but I'm not sure if Bruno's out. Are we going to see these Manchester? Is this fixture difficulty as good? Given you'll be losing some of his.
You'd hope he's fine by then. I reckon he's probably only really a risk for this, game on the Wednesday. Is it Thursday? Even I think they played, but So I don't know. I think by the time 34 comes around, he'll probably be okay. But Rashford's definitely someone who I think a lot of people may have sold, and they're questioning now. Without the presser, what do you do?
You
bring him in now.
I'm actually questioning whether I bring him back now. Yeah, okay. I am questioning that. I'm wondering whether I go for a KDB instead.
That's where that's where you could differentiate. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So big chances 3.4 for United, 6.1 shots on target, 12.6 shots in the box. Everything lines up for them. Zonals don't, oddly enough. And NetxG doesn't necessarily like that. We don't agree. NetxG and my fixture difficulty diverges significantly.
That's huge. Yeah, you give them.
Bear in mind my numbers are inflated because I've gone to more recent data, so I know that would be a lower number normally. So,
just for the podcast listeners who can't see the visual, so the NetxG for Man United at 1.1 in attack compared to 0.7 for Aston Villa. It's very close there. That would suggest like a 1-1 or a 1-0.
Mine jumps off the page and tells me that
4.2 for attack versus minus 1.5.
Now, unless I've cocked Gabe's spreadsheets up again, which isn't. But saying that, it should be fine because all I did is the one thing I will say with this. Remember, there's one slight deviation to normal here, and that is that my data's up to date, but Gabe's isn't. So I had to take Gabe's earlier data because he's obviously not here. But yeah, positive for Manchester United in the first fixture.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. So I'm probably there's a world in which I would be tempted I'm just looking at the zonal matchup to see if there's anything for the center, but not really. Free's okay, but there is a world in which I could, if I didn't do any moves this week, I could just do Kane to Martial next week as a third United asset, and then do my Saka to Salah move and take no hit. So that's something I've toyed with that idea, but I don't really know if I want Martial when I could just make it a -4 and grab Jota instead. I feel like Liverpool's double game week is much better, and I guess we'll see the kind of FDRs for their games. But like my view is that the United double in 37 is good.
Can you not just do Isak? Can you not just do Isak and be done with it? Because I mean, he's got a double coming up, and he's got Southampton in 34.
He does, but I'd rather get the two fixtures whether Jota gets the minutes or not.
I think Isak can easily outscore double game weekers this week.
Oh no, he could. The reason I say it is I've had a look at my moves going forward. So if I did the Isak and Salah move now, there's basically like no free transfers I want to make in any weeks. Like I'd already have 6 doublers for 36, and I'm not going to be doing any more of them going forwards either. Like
I'm completely confused. Matty win a lot. What's your brother doing on there? Are you my brother now?
I think Bruno maybe.
Bruno? He must be joking.
He must think you did like Bruno. Like, I'll take that as a
I wish I had his money.
I love it. I think we were going to say, yeah, we should have his beard or something, but money will do too.
Yeah. Money.
We'll
all right,
come back.
Let's keep going.
We'll come back to some of these questions, guys.
Again.
Yeah, we started.
Here we go. Liverpool against Tottenham. Now we're talking. Look at the matchups. Liverpool are going to batter Spurs. Looking at this, because obviously the data got updated and Spurs were so bad. I mean, just so bad. I mean, Neymar. words escape me. I mean, I was sat watching the game and I was like, 1-0.
I think the celebrations are like the only way that, like the players' celebrations are kind of the only words I have because they were speechless, right? Did you see Murphy, was it? And he just like, when he scored, he just like, his face, he just went like just like, you didn't know what was going on. Like.
Yeah. Okay.
He's just like, what the fuck? He's like looking around like, is this real? Like, and then you see Isak's second goal. He's like doing the like the shrug emoji. Like they didn't know what to do.
It was hilarious. I mean, to be fair, James from Planet FPL said they were going to get fucking battered, and they did. I don't think even anybody expected them to get battered quite as badly as they did.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to our Spurs haulers in the chat.
What a shower of shit.
I was going to say, that must be painful. Obviously, we've heard that Stellini is no longer in charge. Second manager change in 29 days over there. Conte got replaced by his second man. Now Stellini's getting replaced by his second man. I don't know how much longer this can go on.
Is there a cat outside the Gallagher end and just give it the job?
I was honestly in shock. And I was telling you about my recent food poisoning. So on Sunday, I was feeling quite unwell.
Appropriate because Spurs were shit.
But that's only so. This is the thing. So I was feeling like the worst I've ever felt, right? And then obviously Arsenal dropped points on the Friday as well, and I was relying on Isak. He was my last kind of asset on the free hit. It was a bit of a meh free hit without him, and I was actually like really unwell. So I was like, I had the phone on the edge of the bathtub watching the stream, and I was in the shower just like trying to like just relax and listening to some cool music. And I was also being sick, as I was telling you, because I was very unwell. There was just water coming out. And I felt like the world was coming to an end. And then I suddenly start hearing like 1-0, 2-0, and it's like 6 minutes, 3-0. And I was getting angry. I was like, where's my fucking Isak points? But then as soon as he got the 2 goals, that was like the only thing in the world that could make me feel that good when I was that fucked with food poisoning, honestly.
Well, look, if you're feeling unwell, what makes you feel better? Your team playing Spurs.
Can you do this again for Gavino? Can you do your I really liked it. Can you do your Murphy impression again there when you started looking around?
Something like that, like a goldfish.
Oh, it was honestly incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it, but we'll keep going.
Anyway, just the moral of the story is Spurs are so fucking bad, and they're going to get battered again. This could be 5-2 though. This time,
Kane's still going to keep scoring all season.
Yeah, maybe 5-2 rather than 6-1. Okay, 5.4 attack. NetxG likes it 1.9. Zonals don't, weirdly. I don't quite understand. But look at the big chances. 4.3 big chances. How many of those is Jota or Salah going to get? Quite a few of those, I would guess. Shots on target, 6.5. 13.3 shots in the box. Oh, shit. 2.7 headed matchups. And then you look at the shot goal predictors at the bottom side of it. Oh, my goodness me. 40% of 3 or more goals according to shot goal, 30% according to shots on target for 3 or more. This could be an absolute turkey shoot.
This is looking pretty dangerous.
It's looking very dangerous.
It's got similar signs to that Liverpool United 7 goals.
This is looking very dangerous. I mean, Andy's saying, he says he could score 9 or 10 goals in 34. Easily they could score 9 or 10. I'm going to say they could score 10 or 11.
Well, just in this Tottenham game.
Well, maybe.
No, that's not.
We've got that second fixture.
So the thing that worries me,
you'll get double figures.
Yeah. So the thing that worries me, and I think this is where Andy's right, is that Jota, I do have a bit of a worry about him. I have a sneaky suspicion Darwin's just kind of there, looming, waiting. It does scare me. And Tom says, "Is this the game Nunes finally hauls?"
Well,
Gabe would lose his shit hearing us talking about Darwin.
3 big chances. If Nunes gets 4.3 big chances or 4 big chances, how many of those is he going to finish? I would argue he'll get none of them. Maybe 1.
I wouldn't go for him even if you told me he started the game week.
I
would still go for Jota.
I'll
go for him for 1 game and a cameo. If that's all you'd give me, I'll take it.
Yeah.
With these kind of numbers, I will fucking take it. Cool.
It's great to see Mariner in a better mood tonight. Was I in a bad mood last week?
I don't know. I think it was because of Wrexham and because of Scunthorpe.
Stop talking about them. Honestly, this has the hallmarks of a battering. And of course, I've left the same slide as last week because if you are free hitting, you have the option to select 3. And I would argue that you have Trent, Salah plus 1 more. I think personally here, I don't trust the defence. I genuinely don't. I don't like Liverpool's left-sided matchup. I think you're talking Jota.
Would you go triple attack if you could on a free hit?
Well, is Trent triple attack?
I guess you couldn't. Yeah, I guess in a way.
I mean, look, I just think that Trent. I mean, you're probably on the very slight off chance that Liverpool do get a defensive return. You'd probably go with Trent over Robertson. But that said, I don't know. Who would you be your third attacker be? I wouldn't go Gakpo. No, not after that. Not after that. No.
No, not after what happened. Goal line clearance, though, in another day, it could have been a haul. If him and Jesus both dodging points for fun.
Yeah.
Oh,
shit
it's painful, man. Yeah, it does. So let's see. What else do we have? So we have the next game. Is it Liverpool again? Yeah, Liverpool versus Fulham.
And there we go. It's even better. The fixture difficulty.
This is even better. Holy shit! Is there or not? Are we all just going to be captaining City players blindly when Liverpool's the double game week to be targeting here?
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. Look at the matchup here as well. Although NetxG doesn't really see it, but I actually see it. Look at the big chances. 5. Shots on target, 6.8. Shots in the box, 12.8. Headed matchup as well. This is just screaming everything again. And interesting enough, when you looked at the shot goal predictors again, 40%, 30%.
That's crazy, yeah. That is actually 40% shot goal predicted for 3 or more.
Mean,
I don't even know what to say. This is actually, and there's a chance that we're not going to have 3 Liverpool or 3 City. So we're going to have 4 assets for the 2 best doubles.
3 hitters. I honestly, I did all right with my free hit. I got 77 points as it happens. I was quite happy with it. I jumped from 90k to 50k. So I've mine paid off. If your free hit didn't pay off and you actually didn't play your free hit, I'm not saying it was the wrong move, but you know what? I think that one of the rules I will make for future is I will never play my free hit on a blank game week.
You didn't enjoy it as much. It's meant to be impossible to get a red arrow.
Yeah, it's meant to be fun.
Yeah, it's meant to be impossible. But how can it be fun when Saka and Martinelli
combine
for a goal and you don't gain anything?
I looked at my EOs of my team on live FPL and went, "What the fuck?" I'm playing me free hit, and I had a bloody template team. I was like, "What the hell?"
It's crazy, the rise of content and what was happening at the top of the mini leagues. Even in a lot of my casual mini leagues, the free hits were popping off, which is a bit crazy.
Andy's free hit: Trent, Salah, Jota, KDB, Mahrez, Haaland, Mitoma match. Love it.
That is epic, especially for a free hit perspective. Mahrez over Grealish in a free hit.
Definitely.
I've got time for that.
Definitely. But look, this is a game that the hallmarks of a total battering. I mean, you know, if you could move ends at half time in Anfield to go and watch Liverpool attack, one end you'll see first one half you'll see quite a lot. The other half you'll be staring, you'll be cranking your neck at the far end, mate, because they'll be at the other end. Because this is all one-way traffic for 90 minutes. Both games, if you ask me.
I'd be tempted, as someone who's chasing a bit, I'll see how I feel going into the game week, but I would be very tempted with a Liverpool captaincy if I was really looking to go against the grain.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
I guess we'll see the metric in a second. That's the beauty of this.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the metric thinks about that punt of mine.
I know. But yeah, it's very close.
No spoilers.
No. All right. Anyway, but yeah, there we go. Let's go for it. I think free hitters.
Go back to City again. Yes,
free hitters, fill your boots. Here we go again. But this time, City's against West Ham's not quite so. It's certainly not the same level as what you would expect, what you've seen with the Liverpool fixtures, right? But the NetxG likes them a little bit more. 2.6 attack and defense. Again, they'll contrive to concede. NetxG 2.17. Right-hand matchup again. Mahrez again. Or KDB again. Big chances slightly down, but shots in the box 9.3. Headed matchup 3.1. Well, yeah. I mean, with all honesty, City's got too much for West Ham. The issue is, you know, if you can get to 3, and I'm not sure I can, but if you could get to 3, which 3? I would argue those 3. KDB, Haaland, Mahrez, if I was free hitting. I don't know what you think, but I just think it's a fairly obvious thing. I mean, West Ham will not have enough for City at the Etihad. NetxG likes it, but I do worry about that right-handed matchup with Mahrez. I really do. You know me, I always get drawn to him. Always. I mean,
I guess the question is, does Foden come in? So you could still, like, even without a chip, you could punt on one of Foden or Mahrez as a third City mid into this game weekend. It's a big punt to take.
It is.
Without a free hit, it is.
Did Foden play in the semi?
Yeah, he's subbed on. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But that's his first minutes back. His minutes will be managed. I can't see anything else than that. I think those 3 to me look standout, and I'm talking as a Grealish owner. I'm not very impressed.
I'm kind of worried. Obviously, when I went for Grealish, it was so many weeks ago, knowing that we might need him all the way through till 37 or the whole season. And part of me now kind of thinks, maybe I shouldn't be afraid to move him on. I would consider selling him. Seems wild to sell a double game week from City before the double game week, but there is a part of me which at the time when I bought him, I said, I need to buy him with the flexibility in my mind that I won't just keep him because he's a City player in that position. Like, if he becomes my best player to sell when the time comes, then I will sell him. I have to be prepared for that.
I think you're right.
He's risky because he's just going to tick along, right? I feel like all of the XG that City are accumulating is going through Haaland. So someone like Mahrez, I feel he has that explosiveness for a crazy haul. With Grealish, I'm just looking to get a couple assists or like rebound the shots that Haaland scraps up and scores. I
suppose that's the price. That's his price as well, though, isn't it? He does enable other things because he's that bit cheaper. Look, I don't hate Grealish. I mean, Grealish can get a return in any given game. I just think there's better options out there. I wouldn't have a Grealish in my free hit. No way.
You wouldn't, no, neither would I. I have him just purely from an X minutes point of view, long term, going into the end of the season. But if I could pick anyone I wanted, Mahrez is always quite appealing, isn't he? Our little Algerian prince. But it just scares me, the thoughts of his minutes, and I don't know if I can go there.
No, I mean, look, I've been burnt before now. I will not this time. But I can see why people would go for him, particularly on a free hit.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
like
definitely.
him on a free hit, actually. It'd be one of my first names down.
All right, let's we got 3 more matchups you've got lined up for us here.
Yeah.
Let's do those, and then there's a lot of questions I've starred from today's show.
Let's whiz through these then, because we're probably just covering.
Yeah, I think we'll go to the Q&A from
Brighton, Manchester United. This is where the Manchester United assets are all of a sudden starting to come under pressure, because Brighton is really seriously favoured. So again, Brighton 3. I think you need them. Personally, I think you need all 3 this week. I think you unload all 3. The NetxG, the Fixture Difficulty likes them against Manchester United 4.7. The NetxG really likes them 2.3. Left, centre, Zonals again 4.3, 4.8. And look at how the matchups light up. Big chances 3.8, 6.8 shots on target, 12.2 shots in the box, and 2.5 headers. Hell's teeth! It's even a Lewis Dunk week. All honesty, Nima, it's this. I think Brighton could have far too much for Manchester United's shaky defence. Far too much.
Yeah, no, I've at the moment I'm a Mitoma and March owner. I have Steele, and that's part of the reason why I'm considering whether I just roll, because I might need to move Steele on next week, and it's gonna. I don't know if I take a hit this week to get Salah now, then next week I'm gonna have to see what the situation with Steele is. I still have a lot of confidence that he'll come back into the team. He was on the bench in the cup, and they always played their kind of second keeper in the cup. So earlier in the season, Steele was the cup keeper. Then Sanchez became the cup keeper when Steele became the Prem keeper. So the question is, has Sanchez done enough now to keep that spot, or will he just go back to Steele's kind of, I guess his distribution, and whether that's more imperative to their attack and their style of play?
I mean, goodness knows what's happening with that goalkeeper slot. I've no idea.
Well, so what I'm hoping for is there's a presser tomorrow, and I did see, I think it was Ben Krellin. He was talking to someone on Twitter earlier today, and he tagged Andy Naylor, the Brighton correspondent for The Athletic, and said, if no one else asks De Zerbi, can you please ask in the presser tomorrow what's happening with the goalkeeper situation? Because De Zerbi's been quite transparent so far about it this season, and he was only cagey about it before the cup. So here's me hoping that we'll hear more tomorrow. Like if I get definitive De Zerbi presser that just says Steele is going straight back in goal, then fantastic news for me, because I'm not going to need to mess around with that third Brighton spot. But I think I have to be prepared that maybe I need to move it on and bring in like an Estupinian. But yeah,
I don't expect them to keep a clean sheet in this game, by the way.
No, I wouldn't either. I don't think.
No, because there's enough for Manchester United to see in the shots in the box and things like that. Big chances not necessarily there, but there's enough there. There's enough green there for me to suggest they might get something. And in fact, you can see the same on the shots on goal predictors, which really likes Brighton for shots on shot on goal, 39% for 3 or more. But it sees also, Manchester United, there's 25% chance of 2. So, and 29% chance of 2 on shots on target. So this has potentially got goals in it, I think, this game. But that said, do I cool somewhat on Manchester United? I wouldn't. Let's put it this way: I wouldn't have Luke Shaw in my free hit. I don't think I'd bother with someone like Shaw. I think if I was going for it, I'd be going for the attackers.
Yeah, no, that's fair. What about, I guess, Bruno owners then? So if they've held on to him now, do you just kind of field him in your 11, and if he doesn't play, you get someone else in, and we've already got benching headache this week, so you can't play him? Or do you take that as an opportunity to take that hit, grab Salah early? And because I don't think Salah is going to be a differential next week, right? So this week alone, he may still be a differential to an extent, but after this, most game week 34 teams will probably find a way to get to him, right?
I mean, Salah's numbers are not that great, are they? We're buying Salah because it's bloody Salah.
Yeah. But saying that, Salah has the same number of Premier League goals as Rashford, and people are saying Rashford should get a Player of the Year shout and shit. So, Salah's apparently the shittest player ever this year. So
no, it's
just crazy, the level he stepped.
What I'm saying is he's just expensive.
Of course, he's expensive. He is expensive.
That's the point I'm making. He's expensive.
But if we're selling Kane, that's what we'd be doing. Right? So the question is Kane versus Salah. So It's do you think like this week? I guess a lot of people's debates are: do you think that Salah -4 this week is going to outscore Kane without the hit? And when we looked at the data for game week 33, you'd maybe argue not. Kane was third in the captaincy metric compared to Salah. So yeah, so I'm not convinced, but I might still go there.
I would bring KDB in over Kane, over Salah this week.
Salah. See, that's the thing. KDB, like, just it seems so tempting. We keep talking about if you're not going to captain Salah anyway, like you're going to captain Haaland, but if you bring in KDB, you get another slice of that City pie.
If I do that, I think that's what I will do. I'll bring KDB in over Salah
for Bruno. If you hear Bruno's fully out,
and then I will take. I think then I would then probably be able to go Saka up to Salah. I'll have to double check whether I can do it. I think I can. I'm sure I've got the money because I trashed.
The following week. Out. So this would be the route if you don't get Rashford back. So you just go to Salah and KDB, but KDB this week first. Cool.
Yeah,
I like that. That would be very different to what the majority of the moves I've been seeing look like.
And again, sometimes you've got to go for it. No regrets, right? No regrets.
The one thing I was saying at the episode,
The point is that I don't think there's that much jumping out. The first game, yes, there is. But this game, there's not so much jumping out for Manchester United. Can Rashford return? 100% he can. 100%. But do I like Brighton more? Yes, I do. A lot more.
Yeah, no. I think for me, it's what I was saying is I do prefer the United double in 37. So maybe there's a case that by the time 37 comes around, we go back in for more United assets. Maybe like a Shaw is more appealing in that week than this week. But right now, I think I wouldn't be too concerned about Bruno necessarily. If you don't have Bruno right now, I don't think I'd be looking to go there as a transfer going into 34.
As much as I taught Liverpool up at home, away from home, the shit. Or they're not.
Yeah, but both their games are at home, right? They're both their double games. It's just 33 that isn't at home.
Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm going to go. I think, if anybody, no disrespect, Nima, and I know this is probably the biggest game of the season for you guys.
I think it's the biggest game in 17 years.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Was it this season?
Look at it like that, it probably is. It's the biggest game for what feels like a bloody eternity. If there's one player I would want on the pitch or on my team for this type of week, it's KDB. It's a KDB week.
It's almost as
if him all over it.
It's almost as if you've read into my history on my web browser and seen the comments about KDB's personal highest goals against a single opponent in his career at the Premier League is 6 against Arsenal. He doesn't score against the same opponent very often, but there was the 4 against Wolves, obviously, when Andy triple captained them for the most epic game week I've ever seen. But apart from that, he's got 6 goals against Arsenal.
I think it's a KDB week, and I think I could. To be honest with you, I can oppose Salah this week. I can't oppose KDB this week or next, and I think I've got probably.
You're talking yourself into it more and more, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it. If Bruno's out,
The good news is the presser is on Wednesday after the deadline tomorrow, so you will not know whether Bruno's out or not, and they only flag them after pressers.
I might just make the move then.
So he's not even going to get flagged
until Wednesday. The move then for shits and giggles.
Come on, take some hits. I need everyone above me to take some hits.
It is what it is.
So let's go to the 2 single fixtures that you pulled out from 34 in the matchups, because these could be nice enablers. They could be your first bench or free hit. They could be your
there could be a bench boosts.
Yeah, definitely. So first one is Newcastle versus Southampton.
Yes, exactly.
Very exciting at St. James's Park.
This should tell you enough that if you are bench boosting, I wouldn't be at all objectional to absolutely load up on Newcastle and go for it.
Double defense still, I guess 2.3. That's pretty good for defense.
They're at home, right?
Yeah.
I know Southampton have all of a sudden started scoring.
And the problem with Newcastle is obviously they've only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 10 or something, right? So they have been a bit destabilized.
There is that. I mean, maybe 2. You could go to. I mean, look, you're going to have Trippier anyway, so you're going to
have him regardless.
You're going to have him regardless. So I think you've got Isak, right, as a obvious player to have. If you've already owned him, even better. If you're free hitting. I quite like the look of Almiron.
But would you want him over a double game weeker?
I don't know. I quite like that. I don't know. I think
It's
these.
tough, isn't it?
Do you know what? I honestly think Newcastle, and maybe you put him
Like
first
in a
bench,
single fixture, they could probably, you think, maybe
I think they can outscore double game weekers this week.
Especially the ones with the X minutes risk that you're talking about, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think for me, Isaac is someone I would start. I don't know about Almiron.
Brilliant. Oh, Almiron's a bit more left field, right field, even. But from my perspective, I just think
is it Watkins plays obviously United that game week, so at the moment, I would be looking to potentially actually bench him that week and play like a Newcastle player. So if you weren't on a free hit, there's nothing wrong with. No. What about those who own Murphy?
You might put Almiron. You might put that third Newcastle player first bench.
Yeah, but what about someone like Murphy? Would you start him this week over, like, say, a Arsenal midfielder, or over Kane?
Is he just a one-off?
Yeah, that worries me a bit. He obviously he's been playing in the front three, which he doesn't normally do for a few games now. I know Saint Maximin was injured, so that's partly to do with that. But the question is, someone who might know more about Newcastle's injury, and I think
minutes under threat with Almiron as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of wingers, isn't there? But we said this about him earlier in the season when Almiron was the guy who I didn't buy for weeks because I was like, oh yeah, there's so many wingers, like he's going to lose his place. And who knows, maybe with Howe, if you keep performing, you don't move to the bench, right?
Look, I look at this, and this has got Newcastle. This has got, looking at it, 3.3, 2.3 attack and defense fixture difficulty. NetxG is 1.5. Central zonal 3.3 for Newcastle. Big chances 2.9. Shots on target 5.4. Shots in the box 12.7. Headed matchup as well. There's your Trippier. There's your potential Trippier haul with respect to the assist. And clean sheet, shots, goals predictors, really, really green. Lights up. It just lights up. It lights up. It screams Newcastle. Very, very good, tasty bench boost options. Depends on how many double game weekers I have. I'm probably gonna have a single game week goalkeeper. I can't get around that. I don't think.
I've got Raya who can play Forest at home. So part of me thinks that if Steele does get dropped. Yeah. Do I really want to take two moves to do Steele to, like, say, De Gea?
Not worth it. Just play Raya. Even if you draw 2-2, he gets a ton of save points. So just keep going with him, I think.
Because he's the next matchup. So we'll talk more about him when we leave Newcastle behind.
Well, no, I do think I really like Isak. I think he's a great option this week. Isak, well, unless I buy Jota, which I could easily end up doing, but then I've got 3 Liverpool assets and I've got to then immediately scrap one.
No, because they have the home fixture against Brentford in 35. So I'd be looking to play them again that week. So that's the thing. So for me, I could go to Isaac now, and I see what you're saying about this single fixture here, and he's got a decent single fixture this week too in 33. But if I kind of just go for Jota in 34 and get the double out of him, get the single in 35 that's at home, 3 home games in a row for Liverpool, I think they're doing very well at home in the league. I would be tempted by that. And then just go to Isaac in 36.
Then you go to Isaac in 36 for his double. Yeah.
And then my plan was, if all goes well, then Isaac goes to Kane in 37 for the last 2 Spurs fixtures. Yeah.
If
they still have a chance at top 4.
When Isaac scores his hat-trick against Southampton, I will be extremely pissed off.
Yeah, that is true. But when Jota gets his 4 goals,
and then I'm going to blame you when I'm next on the stream.
No, you've already bought Greenwood, so you can't buy a striker this week. So you have one more week.
I've only got 1 striker slot left now, so
exactly,
and that's going to be jumping around from at the moment it's on Watkins. He will go.
But that's what I mean. So my midfield is going to be pretty locked, I think. So like my 5 midfielders are probably going to stay pretty similar, and then I only want to play with 3 defenders the rest of the season.
Anyway, Nick said this episode's made me even more confused about what to do with my team than before for 34. So thank you so much. Well, it's our pleasure.
I think the conclusion is that if you were going to take a hit in 34 for certain assets, like a City player or even Newcastle players like Isaac here, if you wanted to get Salah early, these are moves you could maybe bring forward a week potentially. Depends on your appetite for just getting into them early.
I've no problem in taking a hit now. If you want to take a hit, take a hit. The reason is because you can look at it from the basis between now and 38. Right? I think particularly if you're chasing, I think now is if you set yourself your targets, have a look at it. If you've got that gut feeling, go for it. I've no problem with hits now. You're in hit. We're in hit season.
Yeah, let's go to the last single game. This is only the second single game week fixture we have here. So this is Brentford versus Nottingham Forest.
That's right. So I mean, this one we could really not ignore for Tony perspective. Really, I mean, Brentford's attack is 1.9, defense is 2.2, NetxG is 1.9. Nothing on zonals, but there never is. Big chance is 2.5, probably Tony's. 5.1 shots on target, 10.4 shots in the box, and 2.6 headed matchup. Now, there is a headed matchup for Forest as well, which does give me that slight concern about Raya. But to be honest with you, and Forest are looking like they are showing a little bit of fight at least. Although that could be just the fact that Liverpool are just crap defensively, which they really are. They couldn't defend a throw-in to save their lives, could they?
Yeah, no, I think for me personally, Tony's just been like bloody Diego Costa of a few years ago, where everyone didn't go to him because they were waiting for that suspension from the final card, and he never got it, and he just kept scoring every week. I think a few people said on Twitter, they showed the screenshot of Tony's points, and I think for a while it's been he scores every other game. So he just scores one, then doesn't score, scores one, doesn't score. He gets 9 points every time. It's just like, it's almost like clockwork at this point.
Do you play these patterns? Do you ever done that? I've done that before. I've gone, like blank, blank, return, blank, blank, return.
I do it with doubles. So it's like, there's like 2, 2, 10, 2, 2, 10, 2, 2, 10. with the double digit haul.
Oh dear. I mean, look, shot goals and shot on targets don't really light up. But I mean, what it does maybe suggest is that Forest might get a goal, which makes me just that little bit concerned about Raya. Because I'm not quite sure that Forest are going to generate tons of shots. But if it looks like this, they might get something if they do.
Well, Josh was asking about, could Raya outscore Edison in these fixtures?
Well, Edison's got 2. Well,
that's the thing with the 4
he blanked
points.
Twice?
That's what I mean. Can he blank twice? I know they like to concede when they're 3 up, but
I will say no.
I think Arsenal will score. I'm expecting that's in Gameweek 33 though. This is 34 is a different kettle of fish. 34 they obviously have the fixture away at Fulham and then the home fixture against West Ham. So the question is, are those 2 fixtures worse than this home fixture for Brentford?
I
think I'd still go for the double keeper.
Of course you would. Of course you would. But I mean, look, I'm not saying Raya's a bad pick this week, but I didn't put him on the slide because of that reason, because I actually thought that I'm going to be playing Raya for sure, but I'm not that hopeful of a clean sheet.
Yeah, but he was getting 5 points without clean sheets, right?
He could get 3 points. He could get some, but I'm just not sure if looking at these matchups, are Forest going to even create enough for him to be able to have any save points? I think they might just turn up, snatch, get a goal, and this is 3-1 all over it.
Well, Brentford 3-1 and 2 shots on target for us.
One goal, someone's ass into the net to take my Raya clean sheet. Yeah.
All right, let's go to. Just want to make sure that the next slide isn't the captaincy for the game week, right? I don't want to accidentally click onto it if it is.
Might be. I think it might well be actually.
Well, let me take it off the screen.
Oh no, maybe not. I don't know.
Oh no, it's a matchup summary.
Do you want to put that onto the screen?
I will. I'm just having a quick look at what. Okay, so you have a few slides until then.
Yeah, we'll very quickly look at this. So there's the matchup summary. I've left that on the screen. So this is at 1 hour 18. If you want to come to it, come and have a look. There's all the fixtures, all broken down for you. We don't really need to summarize this. We've already been through it. If you're looking for any other fixture, which we haven't covered, though, the information's in this. So that's the simplest way to say it, Nima. I don't think there's too much to really jump out on here. The main zonals we've spoken about. Brighton stands out. Yeah, I mean, what else is there? I mean, nothing really. I mean, the ones
I guess the ones that I like are like kind of Man United shots in the box, 12.6.
Yeah.
Brighton 11.6, Liverpool 13.3.
Newcastle
12.7.
Yeah, exactly. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean about Newcastle being a very good single game week option this week? They're the best single game week option by a distance this week.
Maybe going straight to Isaac and dodging Jota could be an option.
And again, Isaac looks to me, he looks at typical form player. He looks that sort. He was buzzing. He looked like he was going to score before he did. I was shocked he hadn't already had a return when he finally got one. He looks in good form, and I think he can keep Wilson out the side for now as well.
Yeah, I think that just one thing to say here, and I think this is a really good point that Matthew said about Wilson will play one of the next 2. So if you look at the last time Isaac was benched recently, it was when there was these quick turnarounds, and obviously they've just played on the weekend. They play midweek. They play again 4 days later or 3 days later. So it's a lot of fixtures. I do feel that he's someone who gets protected mainly, but his XG per 90 is behind only, I think, Haaland and Jesus this season from players who actually play regular minutes. Like he is on unbelievable numbers, Isaac. So from my point of view, you know, that one game where he did come on as a sub, he scored in that game anyway. But with this kind of FDR, I think game week 34 is not the fixture I'd be worried about Isaac being benched. I think if he's going to be benched, it will be this midweek game week 33 fixture, which makes me more hesitant to go there early now when I could just kind of play Kane in 33. He's third in the captaincy metric, get Kane's points won last week, and then move on to someone like Isaac the following week. So that's going to be a big debate for me to make before deadline tomorrow, but let's see.
Yeah.
I do think Wilson could play this game week 33 fixture, but if you've
Yeah.
already got Isaac, you start him either way, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's jump on because the next slide's an important one, I think.
So it's the run-in, yeah. This is a very important one.
So this is the run-in now. So I've used Ben Krellin's for FDR fixture difficulty slide as usual. Thank you, Ben, for give you credit. At the time when I actually took the screenshot, those double game weeks were not confirmed in 37, but they are now. So basically, let's look at this fixture difficulty on the run-in here. Look for the greens. Brighton's fixture difficulty, Liverpool's fixture difficulty, Manchester City's fixture difficulty, and Newcastle's fixture difficulty with respect to attack. And defensively, Manchester City, nothing so much. Crystal Palace a bit, look. Do you see what I mean? Brighton's defence is there, but not a lot on defence. This is screaming 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 all the way in. Zonals-wise, Brighton jump out. They've just got more games, haven't they? Let's face it.
Yeah,
3 double game
it's
weeks.
the sheer number of fixtures.
Sheer number of games. Manchester United as well. Zonals look pretty good. Cities are okay, but that's not about it on the zonals. But then we look at the matchups. Look at that bright green stripe for Brighton. Brighton, yeah. Manchester United, Liverpool, Manchester City, and Newcastle. The same teams we've been talking about. The template is strong, man.
That was part of my thing to you about getting Salah for Saka this week. And is there an opportunity to kind of have a 1 week Salah differential away at West Ham? I don't know if Liverpool's away form is enough to tempt me, but it could honestly be one of the few weeks where Salah's points will mean anything to me. I know some people are going to captain him this week ahead of Haaland, but I don't know if I could go that far myself. But I'd love to see whether he's a contender in game week 34 when they both double.
Yeah. Headed matchups, if we look at those very quickly, Brighton. So those are probably your March assists, possibly Manchester City, Haaland, Newcastle, whoever, and Voldemort for West Ham. It's the only thing which jumps out for West Ham, look, is the headed matchup.
16, yeah. That's pretty good. Seeing who else is anyone here that screams out to me. No, not really. So
I mean, what it's saying, it's just 40. I mean, it's just, this is putting you into, if you're wild carding, Brighton, United, Liverpool, City, Newcastle. That's it. Isn't it? That's it. Just go for it. Is Leicester?
Yeah.
Is it?
I'm just having a look. I think Man United there is.
Is it
not got the double fixture in the screenshot? I have a feeling that Ben must have changed
I wonder why that's not right. I took that off his. It's okay. Don't blame Ben.
yeah.
Anyway,
don't blame Ben.
In any case, the numbers are right. Okay, so ignore the left-hand side. The numbers are right.
So it's, Aston Villa home, Brighton away. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. But yeah, that's not my. Unfortunately, that's not me. Well, fortunately,
but the rest of the doubles that week look right. Brighton, Fulham,
right.
Liverpool, City, Everton. Yeah,
everything's correct. I mean, looking at this though, it's very, very clear for me. These are the teams you want to be targeting for the running. From 34, I hasten to add.
I think let's do the captaincy for game week 34.
Yeah, let's have a look.
And then we will go to the Q&A. I've started like 30, 40 questions from throughout tonight. Okay. They're going to be quick fire though.
Yeah, good.
Second captaincy metric of the night.
Salah, just
Sneaks
But
his way up.
Haaland's minutes. Look, if you correct Haaland's minutes, guess what it does? It does this.
So you've got him on your live sheet now here. He goes up to 96. Okay, so he's previously 94 for Salah, 93 for Haaland. If you put Haaland's minutes up, then suddenly he jumps up to 96 compared to Salah's 94. Grealish has made his way into here despite the zonals favouring Mahrez, which is interesting.
Yeah, but I think that's because of his involvement. Bear in mind, this also takes into account their involvement. So it looks at their matchups, but then it thinks about how much are they actually involved in everything. And Grealish has been front and centre of everything, hasn't he, in recent weeks? So if you look at it like that, I actually think that's why it's still liking him to a certain extent. If you look at it in isolation, then you'd think that Grealish, I'm not so sure. I still think that there are better options out there than Grealish this week, if you ask me. But Salah, again, he is expected to. If you look for the hundreds, so Salah, minutes are okay, Hall's good now, returns good, points slightly down, NetxG very good, likes it. Fixture difficulty likes it more than Haaland's fixtures. Anytime return and expected is top, and zonal slightly below Haaland. So it's very close, but Haaland would top it on the basis of form. And if you correct his minutes, it puts him back above.
But the question is, are those minutes that we're correcting, is it actually wrong to correct them? Because will he just keep getting subbed at 60 minutes if they're
I don't know. I mean, look, bear in mind, I've put the minutes in here. This is the average minutes times by two. This is their average minutes over the last few weeks times by 2. If you see that column there, the average minutes.
And for anyone who is looking like on the left-hand column, so those are the actual minutes I see. So you've got about 100 minutes. Yeah, that's probably, I guess, maybe. Andy says Salah gets 50 minutes more than Haaland, so maybe it is accurate.
It's entirely possible. I mean, look, Haaland isn't a minutes risk for this week, but he probably is more of a minutes risk for 34 once they've started battering someone. Whereas Salah just tends to play, doesn't he? He just tends to play. Look how high Jota's creeping.
That's what
Jota's on his way.
He's up there, and he's only got a couple of weeks.
And interestingly enough, here, I don't think the game week predictions have caught up with it. You know, we said this the other week.
Yeah.
So if we put Jota up to 90 and 90 for any time returns and expected, and then put this back on the screen, look, Jota goes to 93. He's got climbing even higher. So I actually think that Jota is an outside captaincy shout.
And you're trying to tell me not to buy him.
No, I didn't say that, did I?
I was going to get him next week. Yeah, him and Salah. That's my...
Yeah, I actually quite like it. I like Jota for 34. I do like him. I might have him myself.
I just kind of want to get through 33 and see who gets minutes. Like if Jota's rested and fresh, I'll be very keen to go that way. And I've also got that theory that Isaac maybe gets a bit of a minutes rested in 33 as well. So maybe I do wait on that Kane move. I don't know.
And if you look for single game weekers, look, going further down, Tony and Isaac.
Yeah, they're doing pretty
well. And that's with Isaac's minutes not being very high. So that jumps Isaac miles above Tony if you actually sort that out. So
yeah, because he's only on 72 minutes predicted.
So you could argue again, but Isaac, again, this takes a while to catch itself up. Isaac's now in form. Isaac is the standout single game week player, if you ask me, this week. Then Tony.
So I guess the question is it time to go Jota first, then Isaac, or is Isaac now just fine and you save 2 transfers and a hit probably?
I just think those Liverpool fixtures are too juicy not to go for them.
I can't get 3 home fixtures in a row.
I think you'll kick yourself if you don't go that route, personally.
Yeah. I have to go for them. And I will have Trent too, who is up here in the captaincy metric as well, quite high up himself. He's above McAllister. So yeah, he's doing pretty well for himself there. Should we go and thank the haulers real quick? And then
let's do that. Okay, do you want to do that? If you can read it.
Yeah, I can't read it. Yeah, let me make it bigger. So we have our YouTube super haulers, Harbour Boy, Daddy Bot, Greenback Golf, Tahar, and Robbie. Thank you so much for all your support. And then we have the rest of our haulers on YouTube, Harry Not Kane, Tursks, Antonis, Salah the Samurai, Kevin Rose, William, Catherine, Dom, Claire FPL, FPL DG Boy, Akshay, C Hunt, Lindsay, The Vindra Raj, FF Casuals Pod, Tom Gurush, Blonde, Escotism, FPL Teacher Oscar Arias, Donny FPL, FPL Mike Halpin, Podner, FPL Craig, Dread FPL, Sebastian Koo, and Neil, who both signed up in the last week or so. And then we have our Patreons, Elron, Lucian, and Tom. And we have FPL California, our latest Patreon on the podcast format. Thank you for your support. And
yes, welcome,
as we found out. So
yeah, and thank you for supporting us, because we and whilst you're on about supporting us, if you haven't hit like,
yeah, that's the first time we're asking in the episode 1 hour 30.
We should ask more, but please hit like. We should,
but yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, found it entertaining, if you like laughing at Mariner's rant or either of our tantrums throughout the episode, please show your support with that like or subscribe if you're new to the channel. We are just targeting to get to 2,500 subscribers, and I think we're getting very close. So if we can get there for the end of the season, we'll be very happy with that.
Yeah. Little old Net That
Haul, as you say. Yeah, I know. Okay, cool. So do you want to do a quick mini league update for the top 5?
We've got a change at the top. We've got the constant gardener, Jack Henry Norris. That's very formal. 77 points this week, 2,212. Gladiators. Faith, is it Ogundeli? 76 points, 2,209. Misclick, Torgeir Yosang, 77 points, 2,209. Evolution FC, Benjamin Lockwood, still hanging around, 53 points. A bit of a tough week for Benjamin this week, 2,208. And Brad Curry is sneaking back onto the top 5. He's drifting around 6 at the moment. Fox River, his team, 75 points, 2,195. Well done, guys.
Nice.
I'm not gonna trouble the scorers this year.
Of course. So while we have me pulling up some of the questions from the Discord, from the haulers, from our monthly supporters, anyone who does want to support the channel and help us with the operating costs and to get the show out and improve the production for next season, we would appreciate your support either through Patreon if you're listening in podcast format. The link is in the description, or on YouTube. While I'm getting the 3 or 4 questions from Discord before the live Q&A questions, and with the thumbnail on the screen, do please let us know your predicted Arsenal v Man City score lines in the chat.
Look at these bastards.
Hit like for Wrexham.
Deadpool would want everyone to hit like. I can't believe this.
So we have Jonathan from Discord. The first question, Daddy Bot, was planning to move Kane in game week 34 for a double game weeker. Should I move Kane now so I don't have to watch Spurs?
It's a great reason. I mean, look, if you don't need to move him, don't. But I mean, look, if you are in a situation where you could get priced out, like some people have been, maybe that's a valid reason. But I think that's probably the only reason.
Yeah, no, I've seen him. He has said in the chat tonight, actually, that he is now probably going to hold on to him, I think, until 34. And he mentioned that I actually was listening to Above Average while I was washing the dishes earlier. And I'm sure I heard someone ask that exact question to Adam. But I think he was just maybe rubbing the salt into the wounds of our Spurs friends over on that pod. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe he was just teasing them. But
I really should have paid a visit. Anyway.
Yes, so I think in terms of so we got a few more questions from Dom Black Dragon in the Discord. So he asks, from game week 33 onwards, who would you prefer as a Saka replacement, Rashford or Grealish? Both around the same price, but Rashford EO is higher.
Oh God, from 33 onwards, Rashford or Grealish?
Yeah.
It depends what you're doing, doesn't it? Are you chasing or are you trying to hold rank?
No, I think I'd still go Rashford either way.
I think I'd go. Well, I don't know. I think I probably would, thinking about it.
I can't, like, the minutes. And
I don't know. I'd bring Grealish in now. I don't know. No, I don't.
That's what I mean. I brought Grealish in, and I already am not happy about holding him long term now. So, yeah. So definitely, I would be going Rashford there.
Yeah.
So what else do we have? So game week 34 onwards, third Man City player to get in between Alvarez, Edison, and Stones.
Alvarez, Edison, or Stones?
Yeah, I like Stones.
Yeah, I think if I was going for someone in the defense, it would be Stones
over Edison for me.
Yeah, definitely. There's more upside for him. I mean,
Alvarez,
Edison will just get 6 points or 2 points, right?
Yeah, I guess
And
for
maybe
teams I think teams that are going to dead end the third striker, if you can ride Alvarez on your bench and just play him in the doubles in 34 and 37 and hope he gets some minutes, that's not too bad a punt if you just want to go for it and pray, right? Like just go for it, play 1-0s and hope.
Who are you going to bench for him? Who are you going to bench for him? That's the problem. You've got those 5.
No, but as in like you bench like a Watkins against United in 34, and then like you play Alvarez, and you don't really want to go because I don't think he'll get many minutes.
Score against United. I know it's guaranteed. The moment we sell him, he'll score. So,
yep. I'm just seeing who else. So a few more questions. Game week 33 from Sebastian Koo. Sell Kane for a -4 for Isaac, Jota, Iheanacho. Tempted on buying Iheanacho as Leeds look really leaky. And Leicester are looking for the second win in a row.
I do like Iheanacho this week against Leeds. I think that matchup work. I think that's not a bad matchup at all, is it? We saw that earlier.
Yeah, we did. I think I would still, if it was this week, it's tough because I'm saying I think Isaac's bench this week, and I want to see Jota's minutes before committing to him in 34. So it's tough. Like for me, I've got a Brighton mid I'm benching right now, or Saka bench. So I would rather just kind of do Kane to Greenwood and.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why I did Kane to Greenwood, is
because I want to play my Brighton mid.
Yeah, that's the reason I did it. I looked at it, I thought I'd get rid of my benching headache, and then I've got another one now because Bruno's injured.
But it depends, Sebastian. Like if you're happy to take extra moves to bring in Jota and move him on, you can comfortably wait. I think for Isaac till 36. I'm probably going to go that way. Going to get Jota in 34 and then Isaac in 36 for Jota. So that's my plan in a 3-5-2. So Claire FPL, she asks. I'm using my last chip, which is Wildcard 33. So a few of the haulers are in, on Wildcard since last night. Her goalkeepers at the moment are Raya and Steele. Is it worth swapping either of them to David De Gea in the longer term view, as an example?
I mean, Steele, we're not sure about, right? That's the question, isn't it? If you think
I'm waiting for that interview with the presser with Zerbi tomorrow, and hopefully Andy Nader.
The problem is you can't even. The trouble is you can't even. We're all in that dilemma, or anyone who's in that Brighton dilemma. The trouble is that you want 3 bloody Brighton slots, so you can't even just put both goalkeepers in and just bloody forget about it, because then you're taking away.
You're wasting the slot
further up the pitch.
I think for me personally, like if there's any doubt that Steele is the goalkeeper and you're on the wild card, if you need him for all 3 of Brighton's doubles, I would probably go De Gea and Estupiñán just to make sure you don't take any risks here and you get the players with the minutes. I think
Estupiñán or even Dunk.
I love how you've. I know it's you as well because of the way you spell Odegaard with DR, but because it's even in your captaincy metric, he has DR, but. So they were asking about the ball in the picture rather than the footballer. So they were saying what football that is rather than what footballer it is.
Oh, I'm just fucking half asleep. Ignore me.
Cool, yeah. So I think I would go for that route, Claire, personally, unless you hear something specifically. Yeah, so it's international football. It's for the Norwegian national team. It reminds me of a ball I had. I wonder if that's a Euro. Is that qualifier ball maybe for the Euros or World Cup?
Come on, let's get on with it.
Cool. So last questions from Discord, and then we'll go to the 40 that we have in the live chat from tonight.
We're very quick. We're at 1:38. I was hoping we could have got out of here by 1:45, but no chance.
No, we will, because the next ones will be rapid. So Claire, bit of a punt. Is it worth starting Joe Linton versus Everton this week instead of Rashford versus Spurs? After what I saw Spurs do, I can't. I would play anyone against Spurs right now. I think you have
like the Joe Linton shout.
I do like it. He is looking great. But
the only thing I would say is that, Everton at home are slightly tougher to crack than Spurs.
Yep, cool. All right, FPL Hunt. Grealish or Mahrez plus Estupiñán, or Solly March plus Diaz. City defensive numbers look good, but they always seem to concede. Brighton attacking numbers look insane for the run-in. So March would be better for the attacking side, as he says, with Diaz, but then they always find a way to concede, versus Grealish, Mahrez plus S2. What do you
It's
reckon?
tough, isn't it? It's tough, really. That's one where ideally you want both. Ideally you want something different. Oh dear, I don't know. I think I'd probably stick with the Mahrez and.
But is that like a third? I'm assuming you only have 2 Brighton players right now, or 1 Brighton player. Maybe you just have Mitoma. Because if March is only your second attacker, then I'd probably go March and Diaz personally for the minutes. But if March is your third Brighton attacker, for example, then I'd go the other way. So let us know in Discord before deadline leading into 34 what you're thinking, FPL Hunt. So cool. So the 43 questions I've starred from the live
Bloody
chat.
hell. Right.
So these are going to be definitely quick fire. You can't answer these for long. So
go on, then. Go.
So from K7, is Salah a must this game week?
No.
Good thing we agree. Salah the Samurai. Good question. Is Salah a must? Take Salah or take a gamble on Gakpo?
Neither
this week. I think if you had to pick one, Salah. If you're going to gamble against Salah, Jota.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't gamble against him on those two.
Rob Jones. Any more Bruno news? No, just the photo
with
from his wife.
Spotted with his foot up on the sofa with a set of crutches next to it and a boot.
But if you look in the background, there's all the balls he's been trying to flick into the trampoline. I think the boot is a fake, if I'm really honest.
It could be, yeah. It could.
I think it's all fake. So the press is on Wednesday, Rob. So
fake
sadly
news.
we won't get any news.
So
Andy got Murphy this week to afford Haaland. Tom was going to do Kane to Isaac, but they've both changed prices, so might as well wait. Yeah, so that price change has made me want to wait.
Yeah.
Salah the Samurai. My rank is quite bad. I need to take some gambles. Kane to Iheanacho and Grealish to Salah because Foden is back in the mix. So this is what I was saying earlier, right? About not being too set on keeping Grealish just because he has the double if there's better assets out there. I don't know if I take a -4 to get Iheanacho long term.
No, not when Kane's quite high up on the matchup.
I think Kane's fine for this week, but is there no one else apart from Grealish you can sell to get to Salah? I guess is my question. I assume you still have Bruno. If you do, maybe Bruno. Would you prefer to sell Bruno over Grealish? I think so.
I would sell Bruno. Yeah.
Cool. So FPL routine. Random question. Anyone looking forward to see Haaland's new price next season?
Well, we'll deal with that when we see it. But
yeah, so Chat Sport reckons 13.5.
As much as possible, as high as possible. Make it interesting.
So. That's why the game's been So we'll get to those comments in the chat, which is why the game's boring, and it's partly because they released it quite early, and there's lots of underpriced players, and all our teams end up the same when there's so many good underpriced players performing week in week out. Hopefully, there's some difficult decisions to make next year. K7, what about selling Tony?
If
I think he's a tough. I was going to say it's a tough sell with Forest at home, though.
But if you can get to Jota, 34 definitely.
Iheanacho, good shout. So Iheanacho's come up a few times. I think we agree he's good for 34, but 33 even. So 33, but not really beyond. What else have we got? So Andy Martin, March minutes will be reduced on Wednesday, physically and mentally drained. I would not be surprised. FPL Trini. So this was when we were looking at the game week 33, I think, matchup summaries and captaincy metrics. How come Grealish and Hall potential is mentioned so much lately when he has never hauled for City?
I don't think we're calling him hauling out. I think what we're calling him out is just being very consistent and he's been involved.
It's the involvement rather than the haul. Yes. He had 2 double-digit hauls in the last few, which
it is involvement.
Some of the numbers, but it is mainly involvements. FPL Sparta, Sanchez or Steele? We got to wait to see what tomorrow. So this is Gavinia was saying, with so many teams being so similar this year, I feel it's hard to make gains on Minileague rivals. When's a good time to go against Haaland for captaincy? I'm 50 points down in one league, 30 points down in the other.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, when? What week?
The thing is that under normal circumstances, you would look at that Arsenal game and you would think, actually,
go against it.
I could go against him, but I don't know. I would this week.
If Salah was at home against West Ham, I think I'd be more tempted to go against him.
Yeah.
Right now, if I went against Haaland, I think it would be proper fingers in the air, just bias of.
I would go against him. Here we go. I'd go against him in 34 because I think his minutes might be down, and I think Salah could absolutely clean up.
Then I think Isaac in 36 will end up being quite a popular captain, but he'll probably not be a differential in that sense. 38 Salah over Haaland could be a good captaincy shout on the last day of the season. See what every team's
Depends who've got things to play for in 38 as well, right?
I think 38 could be a very swingy week with a lot of people going into it with maybe
and
one
bear
or
in
two
mind,
transfers.
United and City have got the cup final now, so you could also be looking at people getting rested, minutes managed for that if titles are won and if third place is secured, perhaps.
Yep. So we got go through these quickly. William, are West Ham beached yet? I guess you could say they're probably safe, but I don't think they're beached yet. Fulham's manager came out saying people have been saying that they're on the beach. I think he was calling out Gabe and a few other content creators.
I think so. But let's all call Gabe out. Yeah.
How many of the 11 million or so players in the game are still playing, you reckon? So I have an answer for you here directly from a FPL review, because this was something Tom from Who Got the Assist was trying to find out before his pod. So FPL review said at 4:50 yesterday that their estimate for activity right now is between 1.8 to 2.8 million people who started in game week 1, who you could argue are still engaged over the season. And that definition of engaged is whether you consider 2 to 5 game weeks of non-consecutive inactivity over the season as a lapsed player, basically. So most models, they say that if for 5 consecutive weeks you do nothing, that you're basically a dead team at that point. So right now, of the 11 million, the estimate is between 1.8 to 2.8 million are actually still like
I'll just comment moves. From me, everyone's playing around me.
Yeah, all the fuck is. But interestingly enough, so what he did say actually, so FPL Review also went on to say, however, 3.9 million managers interacted with their teams this game week. So for game week 32, a lot of people who've not been interacting over 5 consecutive weeks just all suddenly came back in. I've got friends like that who've got every chip left under the sun, and they came in and were like, "Oh, I'm going to use them all every week now." Yeah,
let's wipe Mariner out on his head-to-heads. Everyone's targeting me on head-to-heads right now. Every time I play, everyone's unloading chips against me. It's like
Cool. So we'll keep going. So
I've got the best point by miles in these head-to-heads. I'm in bloody 12th.
And people are just destroying you. Tom asks, is Undov an option now that Ferguson and Welbeck are out? I don't know much about the Ferguson news. I don't know what's happened to Undov. I think he came as the Belgian league's top goal scorer, and then he's got 0 league goals. 63%
worst league.
Oh, in the preseason when he did how the numbers would convert to the Prem.
We called this. He's a player for years.
He scored a couple of goals, I think, but in the cups, he's not.
I'd like to see him get some minutes in pre-season next year and see how he goes. Yeah. I do think Ferguson's, quite frankly, a standout for that team.
But what about Cisco though? So 4.6.
Yeah, interesting for now. Actually, if I was thinking about third forward, I'd go him.
So when I was speaking to some Brighton fans, they seem to think he's only going to get like 3 more starts between now and the end of the season, which with 3 doubles to come, 3 more starts is not great. I guess you can bench him in outside of the non-doubles. But again, I think if you were going to go for someone like Cisco, I wouldn't be looking to move this week. I'd be keeping an eye on him. I'll be watching the minutes. So you, instead of doing like Kane to Greenwood like we have, you could wait and see. So if I roll my transfer Mariner and Steele is no longer the goalkeeper, I could move Steele on.
Yeah, and then go for that third,
do Kane to
and then go for that third
Cisco,
attacker. And you know what? That is a nice differential for the running, I think.
That really could be. So Salad Samurai, Kane to Iheanacho or Solanke, and Grealish to Salah. So this is similar to the question from him before.
Yeah. I don't hate that. I don't hate it, but if the thing is, I think
it's just I wouldn't want either. So for me, it's like I'd go dead. Like I don't want Iheanacho or Solanke. I know, like I'd be looking to go 3-5-2, but maybe by going 3-4-3, he remains differential compared to most.
You could, exactly. I mean, you might just go Kane to dead to Greenwood, save the money, and then reinvest it next week.
Yep. So on that question about, we'll come back to West Ham. I'll come back to that. I'm just getting through.
26.
Is Jacob Ramsey being overlooked, showing some good form recently?
I like him, but I'm not sure. I think we're moving away from Aston Villa.
Yeah, I'll be looking I think this last game against Fulham, after that, I'm looking to get out of there. Okay, so some of these are not questions, so don't worry. The ones you see the numbers going down quickly because I'm actually trying to get rid of some stuff that aren't questions. So, Salad Samurai, question to Nemo: what are your top 3 set and forget Arsenal assets till the end of the season?
Are there any?
Martinelli. I think he'll outscore most of these double game weekers going through to the end of the season. He's 2 goals away now from being the highest ever scoring Brazilian in a single Premier League season ever in the history of the Premier League. So I think he'll get those 2 goals in the 6 games to come.
I would only own Martinelli now. I would only own Martinelli to the running.
He's the only one I'd be looking at. Maybe in 37 and 38, if Arsenal still have a chance, if they're still in that race by then yeah, maybe you want to go back to some of those Arsenal assets because those could be some high-scoring, tasty final two games of this season. So they're saying the rules need changing next year. Gavinho was saying
we can have an episode about that separately.
If we talk about that, and the next time we're all three of us are together. What else have we got here?
There was one there actually. You've just took it off. The one about the content creator should create a chip, the false narrative chip.
No, that said make a random deadline time. Chip. That was a fake deadline chip, but you want to make a fake narrative chip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my narrative is always convincing everyone to take more hits. Like, I've just become a big lover of hits after the first few years of not taking many. I'll probably just
I was gonna roll. The clickbait chip.
I am because honestly, I was gonna roll this week, and now I'm considering taking a -4. As soon as I start to get close to the deadline, I just recently this year I've been doing so badly that I just feel like just have some fun and just keep taking a few chances with high upside. And it's been a good few weeks. I'm slowly coming back. But
we actually I've made all the wrong 50-50 calls chips, and I'm going to change the whole fucking lot. That's a good chip. That would be nice.
No, the chip I want is I want the chip that just picks your highest scoring player for that game week as captain.
Yeah, that's nice.
So that I don't have to rely on so much fucking variance every 38 weeks. Give me 1 week where I'm guaranteed some fucking points.
Yeah, but then you imagine what happens if you go for the high and then someone outscores Haaland by 1 point.
And you're like, what a waste of a chip.
Him.
And then they use that chip a different week when you don't get anything. Yeah. So any word on Evan Ferguson being ready for 34?
No,
I've not heard anything.
Out.
So yeah, I think Cisco we mentioned was the one I'd be looking at there. So Bojan Zupak asks Kane to Solanke and Saka to Salah. I just don't like Solanke. Maybe I'm just biased, but he has 5 league goals.
I don't see the love anymore. I mean, I don't know. I'd go 5 across midfield and scrap that second.
That's what I mean. So for me, it's like if you've got another third striker already, I would rather just kill that third striker and have loads of money to. Like maybe you don't already have a Trent, maybe you don't have Salah, maybe you can get to those players with that money. But if you absolutely had to, if you don't have a third United, I would rather go Kane to Martial and Saka to Salah than Kane to
I have to say, Bournemouth really surprised me at the weekend. I didn't see that coming with West Ham. I didn't see that coming at all. Makes me think they are beached.
Yeah, well, both of them have kind of got through the patch they needed. They're probably relatively safe at this stage. But I do like Martial. If you see how his minutes go this midweek, and if you need a third double game weeker from United, like if you can afford Martial instead of Solanke, I would be going there.
We'll see. I don't share the love.
But do you really want Bournemouth with one fixture in 34 over Martial? Like,
fucking Martial. God. Yeah, anyway.
You think we'd have learned? Salah asks, would going KDB over Salah be that differential if their EO are almost the same? I don't think they'll be anywhere near the same.
No, I don't.
I think so. Salah's EO will be like 50 to 80% by the time the game.
And the other thing is that think about it from a perspective. Everyone's owning Manchester City assets, but are you going to get that double return of KDB and Haaland? Because that could be a really big differential too.
Yeah, if you're one of the few who gets both.
Yeah.
So what else have we got? So Gavinho, I really want KDB with Salah and Haaland, but I would have to take consecutive -8s to afford it. This is the part where I say, like, depends what your goals are. So if you go back to the beginning of the episode, if you don't mind having a bit of fun, if you are willing to take those risks, and like if it falls flat on its face, if that doesn't ruin your goals for the season, and you can have a bit of fun trying to really go for it, then yeah, why not?
It does seem a bit extreme though. -8.
So I think this question will be one for maybe when Gabe is back as well. It's just more about like what will Newcastle's strategy be to compete in Europe next season with signings.
Just buy everybody. They've already gone out and bought all the scouts from everybody else, haven't they? I saw they've done that this week.
I know they're in for Kieran Tierney maybe to compete with Dan Burn at left back, maybe move Burn to centre back. Who knows? There's a few other players. Rafinha.
See Newcastle doing well. It's nice to see the stadium.
I think they could get some good players. I'd love to see them in the Champions League.
I like watching them as well. I like watching them as well.
Yeah, definitely. So Bojan asks, worth a -4, Solanke and Salah in, Kane and Saka out, and then in 34, Edison in, Kepa out.
I mean, again, we've got Solanke.
The thing is, it's really tough. So I hate answering any question like this without knowing the full 15.
I think the other thing is that I'm probably biased with the way I'm thinking because I'm already gone. I've already moved, whereas I'm not thinking like this. Edison in, Kepa out. I don't get this love of Edison. But I would go John Stones over him in a heartbeat if I was thinking about a defensive asset.
Yeah, but I guess a lot of us will be happy.
The issue is it's Kepa or bloody Raya, right? He's looking for another double game weeker, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining. I'm imagining that right now, so Kepa and Raya pairing maybe there.
I've no problem. If he wants to, I've no problem with it. It's not like Edison 6 million.
No, I think this is fine. And actually, like I've been harsh on Solanke because I said that he's only got the one fixture in 34 and you'd rather get like the doublers in Martial Jota. But Matthew makes a really good point that Bournemouth play Leeds at home in 34, so he's going to definitely be looking at Solanke.
Yeah, but they've just been tonked 4-0 by West Ham.
Yeah, but I think
forgotten about that.
But was that away or that was at home? Oh bloody hell! Yeah,
I was going to say I never saw that coming.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think Bournemouth for me, it scared the living shit out of me. I don't think I'd bother. Yeah, says someone like Phil Billing on his free hit.
So wait, we have this question from Mia. We'll get into the last 8 questions and we'll get out of here. So Mia says -8, KDB, Salah and Greenwood in for Kane, Bruno and Saka. Leaves 1.4 million in the bank and allows Watkins to Jota in 34.
I love it.
I absolutely love it. As soon as I read it, I was like, I love this.
That's the best move. That's the best
question I've seen all night, honestly. I love that shit.
And thank you, Mia, for making it so obvious for us to understand it.
Yeah, sometimes these are so hard to read. Yeah. But
no, perfect.
This makes sense.
Not crazy at all. Do it.
I really like that. I think
do it.
That's the kind of definition of go big or go home. That is a nice.
That's exactly it. Love it. Best one of the lot. Champagne moment of the show for me.
Foden in 34 played in the Premier League match game. Match fitness while the strongest sides go in the Champions League. I think the problem is I don't think we're going to see much of that Champions League rotation impact till maybe more like game week 35, even 36, 37 for City. I think the semi-finals are around 37 double. So that's kind of more where you'd be concerned.
I've got a feeling we'll just see a bit of rotation coming in now. I think he'll get minutes. I think he's going to start eating away at minutes for sure. I just don't see him being rushed back. They'll want him. They'll 100% want impact players like Foden for when it comes down the business end of the Champions League, right?
Yeah,
because they're in the business end now.
So game week 34 question for Andy Martin. 2 Liverpool home games. Trent, I think, I'm definitely looking to have him. He's going to be obviously in a free hit. I think I'd go there. Travis McKill using Wildcard in 34. According to the 33 captaincy metric, Bowen would be the best 1 week punt if I'm put off of Leggy, Mitoma and McAllister 6 this week. Any other standouts? I have 9.1 million to spend in midfield. So he's saying obviously because of like Brighton going the whole way, 120 minutes, he might be a little bit distraught after that as well. Is there anyone else beyond Bowen that could be a fantastic 1 week punt in the game week 33 and then Wildcard them straight out in 34? Up to 9.1 million. And don't say Anthony against Spurs.
Don't say Anthony
against Spurs. You can go there if you're tempted. He's been looking much better.
Up to 9.1.
Up to 9.1 in mid. And they would then be replaced by a Brighton mid in 34 wildcard. I
He's about as high as it gets. If you're talking about the Bowens there, yeah, I think you.
Bowen, yeah.
Bowen.
Yeah, I think so. Cool. What else do we have? Tom asks, when is Pikachu coming back to the stream? Time, hasn't it?
We need to make a show. We need to do an end of season review. In fact, once I'm in Dubai, we'll hopefully get my computer working. We'll try and do an end of season review. Then all sorts of
come back in fancy dress. Maybe when I'm not suffering from food poisoning and drinking true. On air or something. But we have last couple. Okay, so Travis says West Ham's priority is winning the UCL now. Well, the conference as it's their only route to Europe next season. Yeah, so I think they're probably safe in the league. And maybe if we were talking about are they beached, I think that was in response to that earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Cool. To be fair, Gavinho makes a solid point. Mahrez versus Arsenal, if you think he's going to start, doesn't really get... I'd probably go for him over Bowen if you think he's going to start. But that's a big question if he's going to start. That is a big... That is the $1 million question, in fact.
Yeah.
And the final question from Salah the Samurai, just a quick one. So he says, do you have a section of Discord or YouTube or Twitter where followers can post their teams for you to review. Well, I know that not officially, but I know, Mariner, you post your lineup most weeks and people always like comment on the team you've chosen and you always interact back with everyone, right? So I know you normally
I try. I mean, I have to say, I'm all a bit. I'm very down on Twitter right now. I find it. I just don't like it anymore. So I'm wondering whether next year I put more effort into the Discord and the YouTube side of things and just post my teams in comments on YouTube or Discord and just be done with it. But yeah, I mean, we've got the Rate My Team in Discord.
That's what I was going to say. There is a channel. And not many people post their team in there, but I think the idea is that because there's like now 35 of us in the whole community, anyone who sees it has been quite helpful in the past and given thoughts. So it's not just us, but obviously, there's no kind of like necessarily like tier of monthly support that would get like a weekly team review or anything. I don't think we've never wanted to be ones to tell someone what to do with their team, right? Like we want to kind of show you the data, remind everyone there's context to be applied to it. Yeah, feel free to copy us your own peril, but
copy us your own peril, I would say.
I think it's more about their teams. They don't want to see our team reviews. They want to tell us about their team. So
that's fine.
Just drop it in the RMT channel. Yeah, just drop it in the RMT Discord channel, and we always try to help. Just ping us with an @ notification if we don't see it, because I don't get the Discord notifications all the time. Cool. I think that's everything from the show tonight.
I think everyone for tuning in.
So 2 hours. We managed to get through Gameweek 33 and 34. We'll be back next Wednesday. I'm checking what date. So next day, first at 6 p.m. UK, actually, because Mariner's not going to be here. We're going to go at a slightly more reasonable time for my health and safety. And we're going to review Gameweek 35 with Gabriel. Then in Gameweek 36, all three of us will be back. Gameweek 37, all three of us will be back. And then sadly, in Gameweek 38, Mariner will be moving to Dubai finally. So we will do a final show with Gabriel and I, and we're looking to get a guest for that. So we'll keep that surprise for later on. And yeah, just lovely to see everyone in the chat. Thanks for keeping us going into the late night on my side and into the start of your work day on your side, Chris.
Yeah, breakfast, work.
Pretty much, yeah. I'll upload the podcast for the commuters in the morning. If you made it this far, again, thank you so much. We appreciate all your support. Have a lovely Gameweek 33 and 34. If you've got any questions, just tweet us, and we generally
reach out
like to respond to you guys.
Reach out to us on Twitter, on YouTube. Leave us some questions or some comments in the YouTube. Hit like and subscribe, please. We would love you too. Best of luck, and we'll catch you soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you all soon. Take care and peace out.
Bye.